Hello, my name is Christoph, and in this video I'm going to present to you my chess poker game, which I created for the challenge by Jennifer Shahade. First of all, I'm going to talk quickly about myself and about my passions for chess and poker, and then I'm going to go over the rules of my game, and at the end I'm going to talk a little bit about what was my idea behind creating this game. So about myself, I'm 26, I'm living currently in Switzerland, doing my PhD in theoretical IT, and we've been playing board games in our family since I was very little. We played lots of chess, lots of different games, but I always found chess extremely fascinating, just because it was the game of perfect information, of pure strategy, and that was something which hooked me, and that's why I played quite a bit of it. Poker came a little bit later in my life. When I was 16, the boom happened, and so I started playing poker, at the beginning with friends, for no money, just for the fun of the game, and then when I started university I started playing a little bit more, grinding a little bit more, playing some live tournaments, and basically enjoying the game and having a great time with the game, with my biggest achievements playing an EPT and having been to the World Series to play some side events. My passion for board games also resurfaced a little bit in the last few months, and I restarted playing chess quite a bit using chess.com, and that's why, when I read the challenge, I found it very interesting to try that for myself, to combine these strategical aspects of chess and poker. So now let's get to the rules of my game. The idea of the game is very simple. It's being played on a 6x6 chessboard with 6 pawns for each player, and the goal of the game is to get the pawns to the other side of the board and vice versa. To move the pawns, we'll have to bet on different cards which are dictating the movement of a player, and these cards always have a movement at the top, which is a stronger action, and then a move at the bottom, which will be the weaker follow-up action for the other player. You need to play the game is a chessboard with 6 pawns, where you can play the game on. The movement cards, which you can find on a PDF I will have uploaded as well, and then 3 different colored poker chips to denote the different cards, and then 3 chips for each player to use as the betting chips. At the beginning of the betting phase, you draw 3 cards and put them in the betting slots. So in this case, 1 in the white one, 1 in the blue one, and 1 in the yellow one. After this has been done, each player secretly uses their 3 betting tokens to bet on the different cards. Meaning, for example, you can bet 1 chip for each card, but you can also do it in different combinations, like betting all 3 chips on the yellow card, or betting 2 chips on yellow and 1 on white. After the betting phase is complete, the movement phase starts. For this, each player reveals the bet that they have done. In this case, we see that I have put 3 chips on the white card, and our opponent has put 1 chip on white card and 2 chips on the blue card. Since none of us had put chips on yellow, there is an equality there, so it's a draw, which means that this card will not be played and it will be discarded immediately. Obviously, it is possible that all 3 cards will have a draw. In this case, 3 cards will be discarded and the next round will start immediately without movement. Now, for the cards which have chips bet on them, they will be played in the order of the least popular card first. So in this case, in total there are 2 chips on the blue card and 4 chips on the white card, which means that the blue card will be played first. Since my opponent has bet more on the blue card than I have, he will get the blue card and he will start. To start his movements, he will first of all follow the action in the white background, since he goes first. He will do whatever is written on the black card, and then I can follow with the black follow-up action. The card is then put on the discard pile. After this, the last card remaining is the one I bought, since I have three chips on it, which means that I can take the card. I will follow the action on top, and then my enemy will follow with the bottom action. Alright, I'm going to show you a few examples of how movement works. In these examples, I'm assuming that it's always the white player who has won the card, which means that the white player will always do the action on the top. So in this case, the card states move 2 units diagonally to the right, which means that the white player takes 2 of his units, moves them diagonally 1 to the right, and then the black player is doing his action, which is move 1 unit diagonally to the right. So in this case it is his right, which means that he could do something like this. So in this example I'm going to explain the next concept of the game, which is taking an enemy pawn. So in this case, again assuming I have 1, I can jump 1 of my units like a knight, meaning 2 forward and 1 to the right. So what I could do is I could take this unit and move it over here. The enemy now has to choose to move 1 of its unit by 1 space in any direction. He is now in the possibility to take my pawn and remove it from the game, if he would do this. An enemy that is taken from the game is absent from the game immediately. The unit will not return. There are also movement cards which are allowing you to control the enemy units. So in this case, I would be allowed to move the enemy by 1 in any direction, which means I could put the enemy unit back here. Then he can do something similar with my unit, but only sideways. So for example, this. After the 3 movement cards have been played, the round is over. At the end of a round, each unit which managed to get to the other side of the board will be removed from the game and count as 1 point for the respective player. So in this case, this white unit has reached the end of the board and it will be removed and will count as 1 point for the white player. To win the game, you need to get 2 points, meaning that 2 of your units have to get to the other side of the board. In this special case, where after this movement round, both white and black have 2 points, the game will just move on until one player gets 1 point more than the other player. This means that it is possible for the game to end in a draw, meaning if all the units would be off the field and the players would have the same amount of points. This also means that if you take more of the enemy's units, it's harder for him to win in this special case. So that was a quick overview over my game. For details regarding the rules and behind the scenes, please take a look at the document I added to my tweet. In this document you will also find the cards for the movement deck to print out and play the game for yourself. The creation of the game started pretty quickly. As soon as I read the challenge, I very quickly had the idea to get movement cards where always one player is doing a better action and then the second player has to follow up that action with a weaker action, but it's still keeping the game moving. And the idea to get the cards by betting on them came pretty quickly because that's the main combination with poker. And after some play testing, because at the beginning there were 5 cards you could bet on and we had 20 chips per player to put the betting, I did some analysis, and now with this version, since I reduced the betting to its minimum, meaning that there are only 3 cards to bet on and 3 chips, the strategic depth becomes much more visible, because not only there are only 10 different ways to bet your chips, but since there are only 3 cards, there is a good possibility for you to basically predict what the enemy is betting on and then acting accordingly. So either you want to block the enemy from getting a certain card, which means that you could even bet more chips on it, or you just take a card which basically blocks the enemy from doing the movement he would really like. What is very interesting from a like theoretical approach to the strategy is that, which is very similar also to poker, when you take a look at all the different possibilities you can bet your chips, the optimal one, meaning that the one where you will get to play the most cards compared to your enemy, will be the equal separation, meaning one chip for each color. Problem is, if both players do that, meaning that if both players would follow the Nash equilibrium, the game would never end, since cards on a draw will not be played. Due to this, basically both players have to deviate from a optimal strategy. In general, I really hope you like my submission. I was very happy to get the opportunity to create this game. The people I've played it with so far really liked it. And yeah, I'm very much looking forward to playing it some more and to basically improve the strategies that can be given in the game. I also apologize for the quality of this video. It's the first time I've ever did anything in regards to recording and video editing, so I hope you can bear with that. So thank you for listening, and I hope you all have fun playing my game. Thank you very much.